Well, that rolls us right into the conversation of why I chose fatherhood. It's not that I really chose fatherhood. Fatherhood chose me. Mentoring chose me. My story chose me. Um, it's Father's Day weekend, and sharing the my story and my why was very important to me. It's very important, and so this is why I chose fatherhood, and I want you to really understand because a lot of people always got these negative opinions. They base it everything just on Facebook. They think it's always about a certain amount of arrogancy, the whole nine. But for me, it has always been a sense of urgency. Ever since 2004, it was a sense of urgency. I had no direction. I didn't know who or what I was going to be. I realized that I had a very, good time at coaching, and that was taken away from me. Games, processes, because people didn't value my opinion, uh, my input, um, and what I knew and didn't know. It was 2008 when I realized, while doing Encourage Me, I'm Young, and doing Better Detroit Youth Movement and a number of other things, that somehow, some way, I was trapped in this purpose and didn't realize that I could make a difference. And it was fatherhood in 2008. I kept saying, I just want to know good fathers, but it was fatherhood that really, really changed my life in a different way because I had to fight for it. Being a young father, having no guidance, you know, quick marriage, married a long time, right? I just didn't, there was very little there. Bad information, right? I didn't want that. And I always was like that, even since I got involved with kids. I'm going to give you the truth. It might be hard, but this is what I wanted to do. So fatherhood evolved. I was very immature in 2008, 2009. Here I am thinking, it was just about the good fathers only t-shirts. It was just about that, or the men that I knew, and I talk often and open with the men that one day it was going to be this, not realizing that nonprofit work is different than for-profit work. And when you add purpose to it, there's a big difference. And so people see things only in a financial and tangible way, right? But you're very, very valuable and you can help so many people. I started recognizing that there was no value. There's no value. The communities, the areas, as you look into these statistics and you start looking at statistics, what is the problem? So when you look at murder, what is the problem? When you look at suicide, what is the problem? When you're looking at brokenness, what is the problem? When you're looking at, right? When you're looking at gang violence, what's the problem? When you're looking at violence in itself, what's the problem? When you're looking at jobs and joblessness, what is the problem? When you look at education, literacy, what is the problem? And every time I would go look, it would take me right back to fatherhood. Then I continued the process, right? It was for me to continue that process. And I started really studying and reading everything I could about fathers and boys, right? So Encourage Me, I'm Young. We tried a girls group, but that to no avail. I wasn't going to work with girls, but we tried the girls. And so I'm looking at what's the problem. And as I was just telling Jason, right, the boy, the black boy especially, uh, he's first kicked out of daycare, first grade, second grade, 1 through 12. That's an issue. That's a societal issue, but it's also a parenting issue, right? So when we start getting into the background and checking, even during coaching, us coaches, we can tell when a young man has a father in his life and when he doesn't. And so, that was just another one of those dynamics that you would come to discover, right? And so I kept looking and I kept going back and I went back and I kept going back and I brought it forward. And I was just looking at the information. Then I looked how fathers were treated, right? I looked how fathers were treated in the 30s, in the 40s, the 50s. I looked how when they launched Father's Day, how, the young lady wanted something for her dad back in 1930. So, right? And so we come forward. Father's Day don't even become a real holiday till 1972. You, us, we all have not valued fathers. We've taken advantage and we say that we love them, but we show them a complete opposite of what we show the mothers, because society has conditioned you to, this is how you celebrate mothers, but when it comes to fathers, this is it. Even the father doesn't realize that he has been conditioned not really to love himself and celebrate himself. I learned that in 2014, the Men's Issue Conference, where my man, Paul Ito, told his story about his uncle. And I began to look even deeper. What about fatherhood? Right? Then I took it into my own personal story. Then I looked at my brothers, all my brothers' stories. Right? And all my brothers all fought, maintained, put their dukes up to be dads. I looked at my friends with a variety of kids and situations, but they don't get celebrated. They don't get valued. They don't get appreciated. Like the corners are not crowded. We say silly things like a man should do what he's supposed to do, and therefore he don't get valued. He's just a father. Well, this is why fatherhood is the answer, the most important ingredient to fixing what is wrong right now. And you don't have to agree with me. Some of you are going to disagree. Some of you are going to say negative things about your experiences and other men. Some of you are going to say, hey, did not raise and do all of this. This is not your time. This is about fathers. And I'm speaking directly to those who really love and want to value your fathers. From sons, daughters, women, children. The first place, if you do not have a relationship right now, forgive your father and go talk and get his story. You're going to learn something. When you get the father side of the story, you're going to learn something that is very, very valuable to how you feel about this person. Right? Because anybody can give you a story about someone's wrong, but what about their rights? What about all the good things that he did? What about the provision that you don't know about? The different checks and the different drive-bys. For me, it was the little $5 slots at the door on Christmas. Those were all little attempts that we ignored as children, that your father was trying to love you. So every time the mail chute on Christmas, there was a little bit of money in the door, I heard nothing but negativity. But today, I understand, because now I have the other side of the story. Why fatherhood? Fatherhood value is preventive. Fatherhood value is spiritual. Fatherhood value is guidance. Fatherhood value is economy, and fatherhood value is life. Kids need both parents. For those of you who have husbands and you want to throw them away, you need to pay attention to how valuable he is. Find his language. Love him better. We talked the last week about how we could love you better. Why fatherhood value? Fathers have 71, 72 ridiculous numbers of values built into us. Fatherhood play. When a father plays with his children, the cognitive health of the child is that double of when the father does not even have that type of interaction. So for you dads that just go to work and come home and don't play with your children, you're not helping them. Spend time, crack jokes, touch them, hug them, challenge them. These are all values that fathers bring and they help guiding what our children need. The nutrient of fatherhood. The nutrient, our Father, God, first named you, labeled Father, right? The nutrient that fatherhood brings to our lives. Balance, calmness, not so reactionary. You can be tricked when you're reactionary. Just look at the community. I destabilize fatherhood and then I pour in drugs. I take the parenting, the no-fault divorce. I take housing away from you. I completely destabilize you. I insert drugs into the community. Now you're all reactionary. So anything that happens, we're just reactionary. And while we're reacting, here they go. With a father, you calm, you take a step, you plan, you listen. You don't move right away. You can have a conversation with someone and not how you feelings hurt. Fathers are very, very important. There was a 16-year-old young man that told me he didn't want to be a father. He was 16, already knowing he didn't want to be a father. Can you imagine how many men think that way? Everyone needs fatherhood. Some of us call them mentors in business. Some of us call them coach. Some of us call them godfather. Some of us call them stepfather. Some of us call them uncle, grandfather, brother. But once you hit that element of fatherhood and that guidance and that natural ability that God has given men, that Dr. Miles Monroe so eloquently spoke about, that a male is born with this. We parent different. We parent from laughter. We're not abusive like that. Society has decided that the father is abusive, right? And the father is always wrong. And we've been making fun of fathers, not realizing he is the most important ingredient to every child. Kids need both parents. It's very important, that it's very essential, and it's what has to happen for every young girl and boy. There was a statistic out there, right? There's a statistic out there, right, that the absent father affects the boy 40 some or 60 some, I don't have it directly in front of me, more than it does the daughter. Why? Because more than likely the daughter has her in-house role model. So she has something that she can emulate in the home that teaches her every day how to be a girl, woman, wife, mother. For the father, for the boy, that is not the case. And we all have some kind of contribution. So you don't get boy, man, husband, father. That's the order. for which a young boy, when he's born, should go. And so we have to do something about that. And fatherhood, when I say fatherhood is life, that's what we intend to do. So in our mentoring program, that's why you see so many fathers. We don't just let anybody come mentor our boys because they need that nutrient. So I wanted to spend this little bit of time sharing my reason for why fatherhood, and the number one reason why fatherhood was I had to fight to see my dad. I was the boy that was defiant. I ran through the alleys. I went over his house. I sat in the room with him. I tried talking to him. He bought my first forearm pad for me to play football at Best Middle School. He was at my football games. When I got to high school, he came to one high school game and got ran off. See? When I was in high school, you didn't know what I was dealing with. Some of us were really dealing with loss. We didn't have nobody on our side that looked like us, could tell us and how to guide us, and that we could really listen to. Because a lot of people just, that wasn't their thing. My biggest male role model that came through for me was Jim Curry, Sr. Mr. Curry used to take us to play basketball and all over the place, even when our high school coach wouldn't do nothing. Every summer, it was Mr. Curry helping us to improve. Our own high school coach was nowhere to be found. Didn't even come to our games. It was Jim Curry. Jim Curry is the man that put the whistle around my neck. Mr. Curry put that whistle around my neck and opened the door, and in there was Cornell, DJ, JT, Jerisha, Zeta, Sandy, Pam. I was 20 years old when I became coach. It was because of Jim Curry. He became my father figure. I asked him as a grown man to be my godfather because I needed someone. So the man that you see today that is community driven came from my godfather, Jim Curry Sr. And I will uphold his name as well. We now give away the Jim Curry Sr. Best Leadership Award in our mentoring program. So with that being said, that is why fatherhood is important to me. I'm going to fight you and anybody else that gets in the way of it. Fatherhood is it. It is the answer. It is both the answer and the solution. We've done enough the other way. I'm hoping that you join me and we turn this around where all fathers can sit at the table and have a conversation and not teach our children this hate, this division. I'm better than you, this ego stuff. I'm praying that if I stay in this lane, that somehow we all fathers can come together and we can stop this foolishness and build a better world. My name is Calvin Mann, president and founder of Encouraging Young and Good Fathers Only. This has been brought to you by Campaign for Black Male Achievement and United Way. God bless you. Happy Father's Day and good night.